Today, we're going to start learning about linear perspective, and we're going to be learning a lot about linear perspective over the next couple of weeks. Today's project is going to be a pretty simple beginning to learning about it. This image was drawn in one-point perspective, which is a type of linear perspective. Linear perspective is just a way of drawing to show depth and space in an image so that things look like they're close and other things look like they're far away. You'll notice that you can see things that are happening in the foreground, things that are in the middle ground, and things that are way off in the background pretty clearly in a one-point perspective drawing. We are not expecting you to make a drawing with this much detail using one-point perspective. We're right at the beginning, so we're going to go and start at the beginning, at the basics. Once upon a time, linear perspective was not something that you would have seen in a lot of artwork, or really any artwork. So historically, if we go back to ancient Egypt and you're looking at images that they would draw, in their culture at that time, showing depth and space wasn't important to them. The images of their people were much more important to them, and so they kept their images very simple, very flat. You can tell that when you are looking at this image on the left that the people stand out and that nothing else seems very important. There's not any background, and so everything appears pretty flat. Now, if you look at the image on the right, this is a mosaic from the Byzantine era. You can see three people, and we can see some overlapping for sure, but we don't really see foreground, middle ground, background. It still seems pretty flat. It wasn't until later on, during the Italian Renaissance, that linear perspective became something that you saw in artwork. The masters of the Italian Renaissance were really into linear perspective. So when you're looking at this image, you can see foreground, middle ground, background, and you can see some lines on the ground that look like they're all converging, going toward a vanishing point. So we can see a line here, and a line here, and another line on the ground there, and over here. And they're all pointing toward this doorway right here, way off in the distance. This gives us depth and space. We have overlapping going on. This was something that during the Italian Renaissance was really important to the artists of the time, and so they put linear perspective in lots of their paintings back then. Today, we're going to start with the very basics of one-point perspective. So we're going to be making simple shapes and drawing those in linear perspective. Right now, you should go get a piece of paper. It can be printer paper, sketchbook paper, or even you could use notebook paper if you want. You also need a pencil, and you might want a straight edge today, like a ruler or the edge of a folder, something to help you make straight lines. You may want to use that today, but you'll definitely want a ruler or a straight edge starting tomorrow when we get into the complicated part of this assignment. Hi there! We are going to be drawing in one-point perspective. Today we're going to do the beginning part. You need to go get a piece of paper, a pencil, and a straight edge. We're going to be making some straight lines. You can use the edge of a folder or something. If you have a ruler, then that works as well. Come back once you have those things. So go ahead and press pause on the video, go gather your things, and then come back once you have them. Great. Now, once you have your supplies, then we're going to get started with the easy steps of this assignment. Tomorrow, we're going to get into the challenging stuff. So make sure that you're doing this along with me so that you're not behind tomorrow. I'm going to be drawing with a Sharpie because I want you to be able to see really clearly what I'm drawing on this paper. The first thing that you're going to do is identify where the middle of your paper is, and we're going to make a horizontal line that goes straight across. This line is representing our horizon line. Write that on your paper somewhere. We're going to put vocab words. So pick a corner. Horizon line. Make sure you write that on your paper. Your next step, find the middle of your horizon line, and we're going to make a little dot. This dot is called the vanishing point. Write vanishing point on your paper as well. Now, our next step is going to be to draw a bunch of shapes. The things that you need to be thinking about are drawing your shapes a good size and putting them in a good place. You're going to make 7 shapes. These should be relatively simple. Think in terms of rectangle, square, triangle, circles. If you want to make one of them kind of complicated, then that's fine. But I would say keep most of these pretty simple for this first assignment. 3 of your shapes need to be above the horizon line. 3 of them need to be below the horizon line. 1 of them is going to go right on top of the horizon line. When you put them on your paper, don't put them super close to the vanishing point. Put them closer to the outside so that we have plenty of room to work with when we start adding our 1-point perspective lines. So I'm going to put my 3 above first. The size we want to go for, put your index finger and your thumb together. That's a good size right there. I have made a square for my first shape. It's about that size. That's a good size. I'm going to move on to the next one. Make sure that you are taking your time on these because they're simple shapes, but if you draw them sloppy, it's going to make the next step really difficult. Okay, so I now have 3 shapes above my horizon line. I'm now going to go put 3 of them below and 1 of them on my horizon line. Again, these can be any shapes, but I would say keep them relatively simple. And now I'm going to put my 1 that is on. Great. So by the end of the day today, you should have on your paper a horizon line, a vanishing point, and 7 shapes. Make sure that if you haven't done this, that you go do this before tomorrow so that you're not confused when we start on our next step. Your to-do list today is, on a sheet of paper, draw a horizon line, a vanishing point, and 7 shapes. 3 of those shapes should be above the horizon line, 3 below, and then 1 of them is on the horizon line. Make sure that you have started writing the vocabulary somewhere on your paper because tomorrow we're going to add more vocabulary words to it, and we need you to know these words because they are the words we'll be using for the rest of this project, and we want to make sure that you know what we're talking about when we are saying these words. You do not need to submit a picture of this into Schoology. We'll turn it in when it's done. But you do need to go into Schoology, find today's assignment, and then type in to the chat what our 2 vocab words are for the day.